one gentleman who has been canceled, like yourself and a number of others, was basically saying that his experience of this process was one he felt like people were almost driving him towards a sort of suicidal ideation, like pushing you kind of like it's a lot more than just simply, making sure you can't work anymore.
Right. Yes, I mean, this is an attempt to actually destroy your entire social life, your social viability, and your connections. This happened to a musician who basically said very innocuous things, and his life was totally destroyed. He lost his recording contract. He lost most of his friends. He was attacked, bitterly online by, Twitter mobs and so on and so forth. So it can drive people to the edge. I mean, we're looking at social death, in effect, and that's a very devastating prospect for people.
I'm remembering a little bit about your experience at NYU.
Mm-hmm.
You described yourself as previously being, left of the Bolsheviks,
right.
so to speak.
Right.
And something changed somewhere along the way, and that prompted you to put, I think it was, retweet this His Majesty pronouns, right?
Right.
Like this, and that's when everything kind of blew up. But somewhere along the way, you stopped being left of the Bolsheviks.
Yeah.
And so how did that happen exactly?
Well, it really happened by virtue of what the left did to me. I mean, the way they came after me. The attacks that I underwent. I mean, I was viciously attacked, not only inside the academy, but outside of it as well. Many people turned against me, like the whole left, not just like the communist left, not just the identity politics left. Even the group that I was affiliated with, a left communist group, they came after me and they basically said, they put me in a sort of a cyber show trial, and said that basically I was guilty of various crimes, thought crimes really, is what it came down to. So when I saw the character behind the ideology, when I saw beneath the thin veneer of egalitarian rhetoric, I saw nothing but totalitarianism. And it scared me, and I said, this is not something I want to be a part of. I can't be a part. I didn't know what I would be. I had no political home at this point. I just had enough. I said, I can't be affiliated with this. And I withdrew. And then I started to study. And then I started to read into the history of leftist political criminality. And this really deepened my understanding of what I was dealing with. And then I saw it all over the culture. It's strange how that happens, but I started seeing the signs of everything that I had encountered in the social order at large, that it was just permeating the society. And then I saw it happen to many other people. It just happened recently to Peter Boghossian. I mean, people like that have been put through the mill by this. And it's not isolated. These are not isolated cases. This is a cultural trend. It's now, gotten harder, but it's a soft cultural revolution. And it has really changed the shape of our society.
Yeah, so soft cultural revolution.
Well, what happened in the Cultural Revolution, you had the abolition of the four olds. You had the attack on customs, on history, on basically tradition. Anything venerated previously is ripped down. And we've seen all the signs of that with the protests, so-called, and the destruction of basically historical memory, the attempt to eradicate vestiges of the past, to deem everything regressive or reactionary or racist or whatever. We've seen the same kind of call-out culture and cancel culture. Really, they are equivalents of struggle sessions that were undertaken during the Cultural Revolution, and then you also have the equivalent of autocritique or self-criticism that was underway, where you had to do this to yourself, self-denigration. You see people doing this all the time when they when they make a mistake, when they say something that's not acceptable, that's not sanctioned. So we see self-criticism or auto-critique, we see struggle sessions, we see the destruction of monuments, including religious monuments and historical ones, and the red terror that's imposed on people through these mobs, you know. They're sometimes Twitter mobs, but they simply resemble the Red Guards in so many ways. It's quite uncanny.
And it just all happens in the cyberspace instead of actually, well, physically, but I guess that's not entirely true.
It has real material consequences because people are losing jobs, they're losing livelihoods, they're losing social credibility, they're losing, they're losing all kinds of support structures, everything they relied on. As I said, it's a kind of social death. And it may start in the cybersphere, but it certainly goes beyond it.
Well, right, exactly. And as I was saying this, I was, of course, thinking about what's happening in Portland, where Peter Boghossian is from,
right,
and frankly, many other places.
Right.
When we spoke last, you said that basically truth-based narratives or truth-telling was kind of the antidote to all this.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I kind of loved that because we're kind of in the middle of trying to do that here, I think, as we speak.
Exactly.
But you have a new initiative that actually, as we're recording, went live today. And you're basically starting a university,
an online education platform and system to counter, not just to counter, but to posit an alternative, a parallel institutional structure to the one that is, to the dominant one, to the legacy educational structures that we're dealing with today, which I think have been utterly infested with pernicious ideologies and are being run by zealots. And so what we want to do is to create an educational platform that has balance, that has truth-telling, that is not driven by ideology or propaganda, that is not trying to indoctrinate but rather educate, that is taking a look at our history and looking at it from a real historical perspective, that is to where did the United States come from? Why is it a unique project? Things like that. And really when you look at this and remove these sort of lenses that say, this country was founded on ethnocide and it's completely, capitalism is, oppressive and imperialist from the start, and the country was based on racism. When you really look at the project from where it came, from Europe, and what its distinction was from that, it's quite an extraordinary experiment. And so we're trying to bring things like that to bear, and then to look at the economy, things like what is the difference between a free market economy and a top-down command economy? And why is it that socialism always ends in totalitarianism? Why is it that communism or command economies end in tyranny? And this is all explicable. It just takes some thinking, and we're trying to do that. And we're presenting numerous topics, and we have a cadre of professors, and I'm adding new ones as we speak almost. We're lining up a lot of courses, and we have a platform. It's a free speech platform where people can organize and express their concerns and basically support each other. It's a parallel structure where we support each other and we don't live in the lie.
Well, it was really interesting. I was reading the article we published today about American Scholars, your initiative, by Petr Svab, one of our New York reporters, and he cited Aaron Zaria as one of the professors. I was and perhaps is associate professor of history at the University of Wisconsin Colleges. He was talking about how he wants to approach history, and I thought it was really interesting. He said, "Well, no, of course we can talk about the 1619 project version of history.
Right.
But that's not the only version of history we're going to talk about. That's not the only lens we're going to look through. I mean, this is my paraphrase. The point is multiple points of view will be considered and explored, and what actually make sense based on critical inquiry
Exactly.
will be assessed, right?
A multi-perspectival approach, which is always the way I taught in the university. Even when I was a Marxist, I always taught topics from multiple perspectives, basically show the students kind of a panorama of viewpoints, kind of a panopticon, if you will, of viewpoints, and let them see the different ideas and let them choose which ones are persuasive to them, rather than excluding 95 or 99% of all perspectives and then drilling down into one and basically making it a prerequisite to passing a course or even being allowed to stay in a course. Because if you express the wrong opinion, you could be ousted from the classroom at this point. So yes, that's the kind of approach that we're encouraging.